Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Sandra Esenam Apen, and I'm here for business. Local manufacturers have been urged to adopt new measures to remain highly competitive on the Ghanaian market, especially as government cuts down the benchmark price of import duties by 50%. President of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, Dr. Joseph Obeng, warns most local factories risk being kicked out if they fail to be innovative. Here's a report by Charles IT.
Immediately after the benchmark value reduction on import duties was announced, some local manufacturers expressed worry over the likely implication this could have on their business. With Ghana's import volumes higher than that of exports, the slash in import prices, they argue, could make Ghana a dumping ground for foreign goods. President of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, Dr. Joseph Obeng, disagrees.
Theirs has been the fact that they are not being competitive. Theirs has been the fact that they cannot even give us credit lines. Already the duties for raw materials is very small. And then you have your raw material input also discounted. It means that you have the leverage.
According to GUTA, these new reforms will go a long way to make Ghana an international trade hub, which could translate into more revenue.
Importation is not only limited to Ghana. Even in Europe, they do more importation. US do more importation and all that. So it will be with us because we are in a global economy.
So far, Ghana's business community remains scattered on the impact the slash in benchmark import duties would have on their operations, while local manufacturers fear it will spell doom for Ghana's brands. Importers, on the other hand, argue the slash will be a game changer for Ghana's trading community.
So we'll be having more discussion on the benchmark value on PM Express with Philip Namfuri at 9 p.m. today. And please do make a date with Philip. To other stories now, the World Bank has warned high demand for African Eurobonds would place countries at a higher risk of debt distress once an increase in U.S. rates prompts investors to turn their backs on emerging market assets. This is according to a Bloomberg report. African sovereign nations such as Ghana and Benin joined a slew of high-yielding borrowers this year who took advantage of the dovish turn by the Federal Reserve and some of its importers central to sell some bonds.
African sovereigns such as Ghana and Benin joined a slew of high-yielding borrowers this year who took advantage of the dovish turn by the Federal Reserve and some of the world's most important central banks to sell bonds. The premium investors received to own Africa's nation's dollar bonds rather than U.S. Treasuries was at 450 basis points on Wednesday, according to JP Morgan Chase & Co. indexes. In an interview with Bloomberg in Ivory Coast on Wednesday, World Bank Chief Executive Officer Kristalina Georgieva said this raises lots of concern. According to the report, 17 African countries are in high debt or high distress. Those in the worst situations include Chad, Republic of Congo, Gambia, Mozambique, South Sudan and Zimbabwe. Low interest rates and low yields are said to make African countries very attractive destinations for those seeking higher yield. By mid-March, emerging market borrowers had raised almost $400 billion in foreign bonds so far in 2019, a record on a year-to-date basis.
Mechanization has long been touted as the way forward in unearthing the potential of agriculture. It is also considered as a tool for massive economic transformation for Ghana and the African continent at large. But what practical steps have been taken by government and the private sector in realizing this objective? Joy Business's Ernest Menu traveled to Bomat Farms at Adesu in the eastern region and reports two drone technology companies, Aquamaya and Zion Gate Technology and Research, are already making difference in the agri sector.
Government considers agriculture as a key sector and has recently unveiled flagship programs with the aim of increasing productivity and also creating jobs. For instance, fertilizer has been subsidized for farmers and some assisted with farm inputs. But there's more to explore as far as mechanizing agriculture is concerned. At Adesu in the eastern region, I meet this 28-year-old drone pilot.
I'm Kluche. I'm a drone pilot. I've been flying the drone for like 2 years now.
Valentine graduated with a bachelor's degree in graphic designing. He had no background in agriculture.
I once worked with UNICEF. They introduced me to Aquamea, and Aquamea is a drone company for agro. So when I joined, it was about agriculture, but I did Bachelor of Arts when I was in university. I completed university in 2016, and I had no idea about agriculture.
But today, he travels all around the country, providing services to farmers.
And just this morning, I'm leaving from Tamale, and I came here this morning. I'll be going back to Tumu to go and continue my job there. Thanks to Aquamea, it has really saved me a lot.
Today, I meet him at Bomat Farms at Adaiso. He demonstrates how the drone works.
It's automatically going to go back there. So it's going to continue.
1.8 meter.
So you didn't miss any crop.
0.8 meter.
And when you miss any crop, you know, look at this edge. I didn't get to this edge because the farm is not straight. It's going to show it to me on the screen. You see this part, it didn't reach. It will show it to me on the screen that like that part isn't done. So when I finish, I'm supposed to do all the edge.
3.0 meter.
You can increase the speed, you can change the speed, increase the flow of the liquid. It all depends on the nozzles. So I think I'll stop there. And I can ride it manually. So this one, the water is finished, I can bring it back.
Managing Director of Aquamea and CEO of Qualicel tells Joy News, even though they have been operating for only 7 months, business has been good.
The prospect is really great because in our 7 months operational in Ghana here, we've received a lot of traction from different stakeholders, including even the youth, because they want to be involved in technology innovation, get their hands busy with something that they can relate to. And with the drones, we employ them in our assembly units to assemble the drones, and we also train the pilots to be drone pilots to get their certification. And
very interesting technology. Meanwhile, board member of the Alliance for Green Revolution in Africa, Lionel Zinsou, has called for an increase in private sector investment into agriculture. Speaking to Joy News at the sideline of the launch of this year's Green Revolution Forum, Mr. Zinsou said it's imperative for private investors to put in more money because agriculture holds the key to the development of the sub-Saharan Africa.
So before the beginning of the year 2000, private sector was not in the nucleus, in the core of the public policies. So the governments have now to consider that small farmers are the private sector. Informal sector is a private sector which has to be respected even if it's informal. Small and medium companies, more formal, are essential participants, but you need a coalition, you need an action together. And the foundations, some of the financial partners of development have to interact. But you know, as of today, agriculture remains only 8% of the portfolio of our largest financial institution, which is the African Development Bank, 8%. In my country, Benin, credit to agriculture is 2% of total credit. In Ghana, it's a bit more than 4% of credit allocation. The problem is that agriculture is 25% of the GDP. In Ghana, like in Benin, and 50% of employment, but 2% or 4% of the credit. So we have to cause all the players to act differently and collectively, and to share the best practices.
The Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, is set to introduce electronic vehicle income tax payments. How? Details in our summaries tonight.
The Ghana Revenue Authority GRA is to scrap the manual payment of the vehicle income tax by commercial drivers for which stickers are issued and replace it with an electronic system. Under the new arrangement, commercial drivers can pay for their VIT through mobile money, and enforcing officers will verify the tax standing of commercial drivers through the short code *901*11#. Spare parts dealers at Abossey are agitated over supposed exclusion from beneficiaries' list of goods to enjoy government's reduced benchmark values. Imported general goods are to enjoy a 50% cut in tax or duty paid, while imported vehicles see a 30% slash. Standard Chartered Bank Ghana has denied reports of preparing to lay off over 600 workers in June 2019. The bank has also refuted media reports suggesting they are closing 3 branches, which is the reason for the workers being sent home.
Thanks so much for your time for now, but the news continues with Israel Laye, and I will be back after 8 p.m. with more business news. Thank you.